So for this video, we're going to discuss about parallelogram. So at the end of this video, we should determine the conditions that make a quadrilateral a parallelogram and use as properties to find measures of angles, sides, and other quantities involving parallelograms. So before we proceed, let's have a short recap. So again, a quadrilateral is a polygon with 4 sides. And under quadrilateral is a parallelogram. So when we say parallelogram, we are referring to a quadrilateral with 2 pairs of parallel sides. Under parallelogram is a rectangle. So a rectangle is a parallelogram with 4 right angles. Another one is the rhombus. So a rhombus is a parallelogram with 4 congruent sides. So next example is a square. So take note that a square is considered to be a special parallelogram. Why? Because it possesses both the characteristic of a rectangle and a rhombus. So a square has 4 right angles and 4 congruent sides. So another example of quadrilateral is the kite. So a kite is a quadrilateral with 2 pairs of consecutive and congruent sides. Another one is the trapezoid. So a trapezoid is a quadrilateral with exactly 1 pair of parallel sides. Okay? So this time, magpo-focus lang muna tayo sa parallelogram. So ano bang ibig sabihin pag sinabi nating parallelogram? So when we say parallelogram, we are referring to a quadrilateral with 2 pairs of parallel sides. So meron din tayong different properties ng parallelogram. So these are the properties of parallelogram. So the first one states that any 2 of its opposite sides are congruent. Next, any 2 of its opposite angles are congruent. Next, any 2 consecutive angles are supplementary. Next, its diagonals bisect each other. And the last one, its diagonals forms 2 congruent triangle. So, discuss natin tong 5 properties ng parallelogram. So, again, we have the 5 properties here. And let's try to consider the given parallelogram LIVE. So, ano bang ibig sabihin ng mga properties na ito ng parallelogram? So, first one, it states that any 2 of its opposite sides are congruent. So, ano-ano ba yung pairs of opposite sides natin? First one, we have LI and EV. So, ang sabi ng property, any 2 of its opposite sides are congruent. Ibig sabihin, kung yan ay congruent, meron din yang equal measures. If the measure of side LI is 8 meters, the measure of side EV is also 8 meters, since those opposite sides are congruent. Another pair, we have side LE, and this is congruent to side IV. So if side LE measures, let's say, 7 meters, side IV also measures 7 meters. Okay, so that's property number 1. Side LE is congruent to side IV, and side LI is congruent to side EV. Okay? Next, number 2. Any 2 of its opposite angles are congruent. So, ano-ano ba yung pairs ng opposite angles natin? First one, we have angle L and angle B. So, since they are opposite, ibig sabihin, they are congruent. So, let's say that the measure of angle L is 100 degrees. It means that the measure of angle B is also 100 degrees. Okay? So, for number 2, we are given that angle L is congruent to angle B. And the other pair, which is angle I, that is opposite angle E. Therefore, they are also congruent. Okay? So next, for number 3, it states that any 2 consecutive angles are supplementary. So ano bang ibig sabihin pag sinabi nating supplementary? When we say supplementary, those are 2 angles whose sum is equal to 180 degrees. So ano ba yung example ng consecutive angles natin? So let's say we have angle L and angle I. These two angles are considered to be consecutive angles. And sabi ng property number 3, consecutive angles are supplementary. Ibig sabihin, the sum of the measure of angle L plus the sum of the measure of angle I should be equal to 180 degrees. So if this is 100, ano kaya ang measure ng angle I? So anong measure nito para kapag pinag-add natin yung measure ng angle L at measure ng angle I ay mag-equal sa 180 degrees. Okay, so angle I should be equal to 80 degrees. Since 100 plus 80 is equal to 180 degrees. Okay, so pag pinag-add natin yung measure ng angle I sa measure ng angle B, since they are consecutive, equal din yan, so 180 degrees. Okay, take note that the measure of angle E is also equal to 80 degrees. So, for number 3, the measure of angle L plus the measure of angle I is equal to 180 degrees. As well as the measure of angle L plus the measure of angle E, that is also equal to 180 degrees. Another pair is angle B and angle I, and the last pair is angle B and angle E. Okay? So, number 4. Sabi dito, its diagonals bisect each other. So, let's say that we have diagonal LB and diagonal EI that meet at point R. So, ang sabi dito, its diagonals bisect each other. Meaning, itong segment LR is congruent to segment RV. Okay? And segment ER is congruent to segment RI. Ibig sabihin, kung ang measure ng segment ER ay 3 meters, the measure of segment RI is also 3 meters. Okay? So, LR is congruent to VR and ER is congruent to IR. Okay? And for the last one, we are given the triangle LEB is congruent to triangle VIL and the triangle ELI is congruent to triangle IV. Okay? So, let's now try to solve problems on the properties of parallelogram. So, for number 1, we are given parallelogram MATH. So, considering this figure, alalahanin natin ano-ano ba yung 5 properties na pwede nating magamit in solving the given problems on parallelogram. For number 1, if the measure of angle M, so yung angle M daw, ito. If the measure of angle M is 105 degrees, what is the measure of angle T? Okay? So, anong property kaya ang pwede natin gamitin? Take note that angle M and angle T are opposite angles. So, sabi ng property number 2, that opposite angles are congruent. It means that if the measure of angle M is 105 degrees, we can also say that the measure of angle T is also 105 degrees. Okay? Next. So, if the measure of side MH, so itong side na to, we have side MH, is 4 meters. What is the measure of side AT? So, ano ang measure kaya nito? So, observe nyo, ano pair of sides, yung side MH at side AT? Okay. So, they are pair of opposite side. And one property of parallelogram states that any two opposite sides are congruent. So, ibig sabihin, if the measure of side MH is 4 meters, therefore, we can also say that the measure of side AT is 4 meters. Okay? Next. So, if the measure of angle H, so angle H, is 73 degrees, what is the measure of angle T? Ano kaya ang measure ng angle T? So, observe nyo ulit. What pair of angle is angle H and angle T? Okay. So, they are examples of consecutive angles. And take note that consecutive angles are supplementary. So, meaning, kapag pinag-add natin yung measure ng angle H and the measure of angle T, kailangan equal sa 180 degrees. So, paano natin kaya makukuha yung measure ng angle T? Okay, so we're going to subtract 73 degrees from 180 degrees. And we can get that the measure of angle T is equal to 107 degrees. Okay, so next. So, given is a parallelogram ABCD. So, we need to consider each given information and answer the following questions. Okay, so parallelogram ABCD. So, for number 2, we are given that the measure of side AB is equal to the quantity 3x minus 5 centimeters. So, the measure of side BC is equal to 2y, or the quantity 2y, minus 7 centimeters. The measure of side CD is equal to the quantity x plus 7 centimeters. And the measure of side AD is equal to the quantity y plus 3 centimeters. Letter A. We need to find how long is the measure of side AB. So, ito yung side AB. So, since hahanapin natin yung measure ng side AB, we can use property number 1, which states that any two opposite sides are congruent. Take note that side AB is congruent to side BC. Okay? Ibig sabihin, kung congruent, the measure of side AB is equal to the measure of side BC. So, anong gagawin natin? All we need to do is to substitute the given values. So, we are given that the measure of side AB is equal to 3x minus 5. And that the measure of side BC or CD is equal to x plus 7 centimeters. Okay, so by simplifying, so we're going to use SPE or the subtraction property of equality para yung x natin on the right side ay mapunta sa left side. So, we're going to have 3x minus x is equal to 7. So, by APE, yung negative 5 pupunta dito, magiging positive 5. Okay? So, simplifying, we have 3x minus x, that will give you 2x. Equal to 7 plus 5 is 14. So, dividing both sides by 2, since kinukuha natin yung value ng x, we have the value of x that is equal to 7. Okay? Pero yun ba yung hinahanap natin? Not yet. Okay? Hindi. So, we need to get the measure of side AB. So, ang side AB natin ay 3x minus 5. So, all you need to do is to substitute the given value of x here. So, we have now 3 times the given value of x, which is 7, minus 5. Simplifying, we have 3 times 7 is 21, minus 5. Therefore, the measure of side AB is equal to 16 centimeters. Okay? Ito ngayon yung hinahanap sa atin. The measure of side AB. If side AB is 16 centimeters, we can also say that side BC is also 16 centimeters. Okay? Next. For letter B, we need to get the measure of side AB. So, balikan natin yung figure natin kanina. So, we have parallelogram ABCD. And ito yung given natin kanina. So, kanina, nakuha natin that the measure of side AB is 16 centimeters. And also the measure of side BC. So, this time, ang hinahanap naman natin ay measure ng side AD. So, take note that AD or side AD is congruent to side BC. Therefore, the measure of side AD is equal to the measure of side BC. So, by substituting the values of AD and BC. We have the measure of side AD, that is y plus 3. And the measure of side BC, which is 2y minus 7. Okay, so by SPE or subtraction property of equality, mag-subtract tayo ng 2y on both sides. So we have y minus 2y is equal to, malilipat na to by SPE, yung 3, negative 7, yung positive 3 dito magiging minus 3. Okay, so y minus 2y will give you negative 1. And negative 7 minus 3 will give you negative 10. So for us to make this variable positive, we need to multiply both sides by negative 1. So negative times negative is positive y is equal to negative 10 times negative 1 is 10. So this is now the value of y. But we are looking for the measure of side AD. So the measure of side AD is y plus 3 centimeters. Substituting the value of y here, we have 10 plus 3. Therefore, the measure of side AD is equal to 13 centimeters. Okay? So again, the measure of side AD is 13 centimeters. So if this is 13 centimeters, this is also 13 centimeters. Okay? Next. For letter C, we are asked, what is the perimeter of parallelogram ABCD? So, ano bang ibig sabihin pag sinabi natin perimeter? So, when we say perimeter, it is the sum of all the sides of the given polygon. Okay? So, yung parallelogram ABCD natin kanina, we got that the measure of side AB is 16 centimeters as well as side BC. And you get that the measure of side AD is 13 centimeters as well as side BC. Okay, so all you need to do is to add all the given measures. We have 16 centimeters plus 16 centimeters plus 13 centimeters plus 13 centimeters. Okay? Since we need to get the sum of the measures of all sides. Okay, so we have 16 plus 16 plus 13 plus 13, and that will give us that the perimeter of parallelogram ABCD is equal to 58 centimeters. Okay, next. Okay, considering parallelogram ABCD, we are given that angle BAD measures the quantity 2A plus 25 degrees, while the measure of angle BCD measures 3A minus 15 degrees. So, tignan ulit natin. Sabi dito, angle BAD, itong angle na to, this measures 2A plus 25 degrees. And that the measure of angle BCD, so this angle measures 3A plus 15 degrees. So we are asked, what is the value of A? So yung value lang ng A yung hahanapin natin. So, anong gagawin natin? Take note that BAD or angle BAD is opposite angle BCD. And we all know that opposite angles of a parallelogram are congruent. Therefore, angle BAD is congruent to angle BCD. If they are congruent, we can say that the measure of angle BAD is equal to the measure of angle BCD. So all we need to do is to substitute the given values. So the value of angle BAD is the measure. We have 2A plus 25. And the measure of angle BCD is 3A minus 15. Okay? By SPE, lipat natin itong 3A na to sa kabila. We're going to have 2A minus 3A. Yung positive, naging negative. Equals, lipat din natin itong positive 25 na to on the other side of the equation. We're going to have negative 15 minus 25. Simplifying, 2A minus 3A will give you negative 8. Is equal to negative 15 minus 25. That will give you negative 40. Okay, so for us to make this variable a positive, let's multiply both sides by negative 1. So negative times negative is positive. That is equal to negative 40 times negative 1 is positive 40. So this is now the value of a. Okay, next. Okay, considering parallelogram ABCD. So for number 3, we are given that diagonals AC and BD meet at point E. Okay? So, nag-meet sila at point E. So, we are given that DE is 8 centimeters and AC, yung buong diagonal, is 3 centimeters. Okay? So, for letter A, how long is BD? So, ang tinatanong sa letter A ay kung gaano kahaba yung diagonal BD. If DE is 8, take note that BE is also 8 centimeters. Therefore, 8 plus 8, that will give you 16 centimeters. Okay? Next one. How long is AE? So, ang hinahanap lang natin ay yung measure ng AE. Ito lang. Ilan daw ang measure nito? If the whole diagonal measures 3 centimeters, therefore, we can say that AE is equal to 1.5 centimeters. Kasi kung yung AE ay 1.5, ang EC ay 1.5 centimeters din. Okay? So, I hope you learned something from this video. Thank you, and God bless us all.